All right, Jeff Zeleny. Jeff, thanks very much. Just before air tonight, I spoke with Senator Mark Warner, who's vice chairman of the Intelligence Committee. Senator Warner, someone who is privy to many of the nation's most sensitive intelligence matters, I'm wondering what you make of this Washington Post report that says the president doesn't want to hear or deal with Russian interference, and his intelligence staff basically has to talk around it.
Well, it's very troubling to me because we have complete consensus that the Russians massively intervened in our election to try to help Mr. Trump and hurt Hillary Clinton. We know they touched 21 states in terms of our electoral system. We know they used social media in ways that were unprecedented to frankly misrepresent and try to splinter our country. And I've asked repeatedly, and all of the Trump appointees acknowledge that this has happened, but when we ask, who's in charge, we have no whole of government response, because the failure of this president to acknowledge the seriousness of this threat or to designate someone in the White House to run this effort. Because if one thing we've learned, whether it's the Russians' efforts in the United States or their efforts in France or their efforts now becoming apparent in the Brexit vote, this is a great rate of return that the Russians get on this kind of misinformation and disinformation, and they will be back. And the president's failure to take this seriously enough or have someone to lead a whole of government effort to stop it from happening again is, I believe, a serious national security threat.
The Post reports, quote, one former high-ranking Trump administration official said there's an unspoken understanding within the National Security Council that to raise the matter, talking about Russian interference, is to acknowledge its validity, which the president would see as an affront. I mean, can you square that sort of mindset with the best interests of the United States if you can't even raise it?
Anderson, I can't square that mindset because we've had every one of the Trump senior intelligence officials come in and acknowledge on a repeated basis how serious this threat is. And yet, if you don't have someone from the White House, because at the end of the day, with 17 different intelligence agencies, with this threat taking a variety of forms, you've got to have this driven, frankly, out of the White House to have a response so they're not back in 2018.